Welcome back to Shining in Korea. So, today we're doing a little experimentation. So before apple season comes around in the fall and we get all them nice big honking beat somebody's head in size apples that they make here in Korea when they're good and ripe and in their prime, we're gonna try and redo our apple brandy recipe. Now our last one was apparently relatively successful.
It was very successful. It's one of our best recommended ones. People want more of that.
But we were also kind of shooting in the breeze on that one because we didn't write anything down and we didn't figure out what we did. So
where's your notebook and your pen?
my notebook's over there. We're gonna write it down this time.
He says that.
But so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and Frankenstein 2 recipes together.
Oh, this could be fun.
So a lot of the apple brandy recipes I see online basically involve people just buying a bunch of apple juice or apple cider from the grocery store, you know, then making some inverted sugar, putting it in it, and fermenting it, which is all well and fine, but you're stuck with the flavors that you get from that apple juice. We're in Korea. We want Korean apple flavor. Now, apple juice might work as a good base. As you can see, we have some. We're going to work with this.
The difference too is we don't have just plain well, this one is plain apple juice and this is Korean plain apple juice. But these are 100% cold pressed juice and this is 100% cold pressed juice made into cider. So it will change the type of apple juice.
Right. So we did do a little taste testing beforehand and we figured out as a base apple juice, we like 3 parts of this one to 1 part each of this and this. So this is going to be our base flavor accentuated with the cider and the Korean apple juice. And then of course we have Korean apples. Now I believe it's called an apple barrel brandy is when you take actual apples and you mash them up and you just pour water on them and you ferment them like in the barrel that way. Well, we want apple flavor, so we're going to partially do that. So we're going to core and chop and shred these up in the food processors and we're going to use this kind of base orange juice. Apple juice. Why have I got oranges on my brain?
I don't know. We're not doing orange for a while.
We're not doing orange again, at least for a while.
Yeah, not a long while.
We're going to use this base apple juice to basically simmer them in and soften them up because we kind of go in for that, not baked apple, but stewed apple flavor, kind of. So we're going to stew these in that. The only water we're going to put in this is for the inverted sugar, which I still think is a hilarious name because the sugar's not upside down, but we're going to do that too. That's basically you put some water, some sugar, and some citric acid and a thing, and you don't boil it, but you simmer it for, I think it's like 10-15 minutes or something. So we're going to do that.
Then we have our apple simple syrups that we're going to add. Yeah,
we made those before. We've got one that's like a straight apple simple syrup and one that's kind of a stewed apple simple syrup. So we're going to just pour them both in. We got some soft apple jam preserves because more apple.
And we also found honey apple tea, which we'll use half of this for the mash and then the other half will go in the thump.
Right. So
I feel like we might have apple covered.
There should be some apple in this somewhere.
If there isn't apple in this, then we have failed to apple. Yes?
Right.
All right, let's core and chop.
So, if you don't have one of these...
This is a pineapple corer, by the way.
If you're working with apples or pineapples, you should have one of these. You see that? All the seeds are gone. Now, because with apples, we can use the skin. All we got to do is cut this into chunks and throw it in the food processor. We're not going to make you watch all that because this is going to take a few minutes. We'll be right back. So now for the up-close cam. Up-close cam. We are going to simmer our shredded apples in some apple juice because apples. And now we've added about 1 gallon of water to a pot.
Are we trying to boil it?
We don't need to boil it. We just need to get it up to simmering temperature. We just got to melt sugar.
Mayhem wants to be on camera.
Mayhem, do you want to be on camera?
No, I want to play.
Are you the moonshining doggy? Are you the moonshining doggy? Oh, what you doing? Hi.
Did you sit up close and personal? I in this.
You in this? Okay, all right.
Minnie Moo over there are like, yeah, screw this.
Minnie Moo's over like, I don't care. We'll play with you in a minute. We gotta get stuff on. We gotta get stuff on the stove. Anyway, so we got about a gallon of water in the pot here, and we're gonna add some sugar. So we're gonna add about 6 pounds. We got brown sugar over there and white sugar over here. We're doing the brown sugar because stewed apples are usually done with brown sugar and we like the flavor, but we have more white sugar and we needed to make up the difference. So that's what we're going with. And we're gonna do that inverted sugar thing, which means we've got citric acid that I ordered online, and we're gonna do that. And then we got our syrups that we're gonna put in and our apple jam, and that should complete our sweet stuff corner over here. All right, guys. Now we're to the point where of the recipe I think that most people enjoy, which is when it's just pour stuff in a bucket. So first off, I'm gonna put a little nutrient in here, a little Fermaid K. Need to order some more of this. This only comes in like a 2-ounce packet, but it is one that is definitely not urea based, which you're not supposed to use with brandies apparently. So we got that. I got our yeast. We got some K1V1116, which is supposedly a good wine / brandy yeast, so we're gonna do that. Our first base.
Oh, we should have shaken that up a little bit.
Yeah, make sure you get all the chunkies off the bottom.
Here, shake it up. I forget cold pressed juice has the chunkies on the bottom.
Which we want those chunkies because we're basically fermenting on the apples for what apples we have, and those little chunks of cold press at the bottom are apples. At least I think so.
You're gonna have to pour a little bit out before you put the lid on.
I know. So again, we're doing 3 bottles of our preferred as our base, to 1 bottle of the cider press and 1 bottle of the Korean apple. And these are all, I think, 2-liter bottles.
Why do we have 3 of the Korean apple then?
I don't know, because it can't count.
Okay.
Worst case scenario, we'll just pour the extra half and split it between them.
Okay.
1, 2, oh, this is mine?
That's yours.
That's mine. Just for me. But 2-liter bottles at 3 to 1 to 1 should put us right at 2.5 gallons of liquid, plus our inverted sugar, plus our apple and sweet stuff mix. Complains about me messing up the kitchen.
He's already messed up my kitchen at this point.
She's over here getting it on a ceiling.
And then you said the other half of this?
Yeah. All right.
Now we have to recycle.
Yes. Now the only problem with all this stuff is it's at room temperature, not real warm. That's why we're gonna add the other stuff to it warm and hopefully bring the temperature up. Right now I'm gonna go get a bag and put all our recyclables in the bag.
Yes, he is.
Because we're responsible that way.
You better be.
So we got our metal ladle here, and we're gonna try and
equally distribute
between buckets. And since this is warm, it should also help the temperature of the buckets to the temperature to pitch yeast at.
If not, we've got aquarium heaters that can get us there.
Yeah, I'd prefer not to have to go that route. But,
me too.
So we are gonna take care of this, and then we're gonna split the
syrup,
the sugar syrup
water
between the 2 buckets, and we'll be back for an update. All right, we have poured everything in our buckets. We just tested the temperatures, so that brought them right up to between
88 and 90.
85 and 90, so they're like one's 86 and one's 88. Then I run around here.
88 and one was 90.
Well, it's something like that. So if you...
I'm not trying to tip this bucket your way.
That's why I'm moving the camera. That amount of fluid and apple and sugar wash brought that up to just near the top of the 5-gallon bucket. So specific gravity says we are right about 1.09, 1.088.
Is that good?
That's right in the range we want. That's going to put us about 11 to 12% alcohol. So we could, if we wanted, if we thought it was a concern, crush up some Camden tablets, put them in here to make sure that, you know, the apples wouldn't grow nothing, you know, lethal or whatnot. But we've done this before without having anything grow in it. And I didn't think about that until after we'd mixed together the apple juice and the other stuff, and I didn't know how the Camden tablets would affect that. So we're gonna go without it, and if we die, I was wrong.
I don't think we're gonna die. I hope we're not gonna die.
So we're gonna sprinkle our Lalvin. This did pretty good in our strawberry mash.
That we didn't video.
That we didn't video. But turned out actually pretty good.
It's actually one of our better ones. Now, did we mix this in?
So they tell you you don't have to, but I tend to think it gets a little better results if you mixed it in and let it get a little moisture.
And do we need a yeast nutrient?
I already put that in.
Okay.
And remember to give it a vigorous stir because you want to mix some oxygen in.
I'm assuming I also want to make sure I get the bottom stirred in too.
Well, if we can get to the bottom.
I can get to the bottom.
I've got a spoon that's long enough to get to the bottom. I just don't have it in my hand at the moment. There we go. Get enough of a stir on there to get the...
Did you get to the bottom? Because I had a cyclone and got to the bottom.
Yeah. Well, tell you what. Here, throw those in the thing. I'll go get the big spoon. I'll go get the mash stirring spoon.
I laugh because you don't need that because I already did mine. You just want to bring your big spoon out.
I do. I got this. It was like $2 at Home Plus or something. Big old mash stirring spoon. Goes all the way to the bottom.
And he's so excited about it.
I also have that metal paddle thing.
You do. It's in the
but it's a little too big for the buckets. I was kind of sad about that. There we go. Get that all stirred up.
If you're going to stir yours, you might stir mine.
Get all of the stirring. She loves it when I stir her pot.
He's always stirring a pot, aren't you? You are a pot stirrer.
Well, no, normally I'm more of a shit stirrer, but hopefully this tastes better.
God, I hope so. All right.
So, we've pitched our yeast. We're going to put the lids on these things and set them to percolate. So, should this be a two-part video? Because the second part's just going to be distilling it.
No.
Okay, we'll do that. So, we'll be back shortly to show you the second part where we do the distilling.
We'll be back in about a week.
We'll be back in about a week. You'll be back in about 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Mayhem the Moonshine Doggy says it's running day, and we're gonna look and see what new updates and stuff Chuck has done to the still setup.
So I did a whole video on the condenser bucket. Look up over here somewhere.
Chucky Sue, are you in here too? Oh, all the doggies, all our Moonshine Doggies are in here to tell us about the stuff we're doing today. Mayhem is the #1 Moonshine Doggy, though. I think Sookie Sue wants to be #2, though. Are you #2 Moonshine Doggy?
Anyway, like I was saying, new condenser bucket. See video up here. I got a whole video about the construction on that one. So hopefully I've got it all sorted out now. Now, following backwards up here, you'll notice I got a little steel coupler in here that I found. I will provide links to all these from Amazon so that people can get them. I found also some nice 24-inch versions of these pipes that come with the little silicon washers in them. Haha. So, thump keg #2 technically, because here's thump keg #1. That's right. Double thumping. Because we're going to get all the apple in this apple brandy we can squeeze out of it. But on thump keg #1, you will notice I've mentioned these before, these little 90-degree street elbow bends. But also, what you can't see in here is I finally found the right size extension. There is a 4-inch, half-inch NTP steel extension in both of these pots that comes down to like right about there, like about 1 inch off the bottom of the pot. So both of these are going to be fully functional as thump kegs. And to try and alleviate some issues I've had with the pot hanging off of this little small single induction eye, we got pizza steel. Safety note, don't touch that. It gets hot.
Not right, May. Safety first.
All right, welcome back. It has been
An adventure.
a hot minute because we put this in this jar about a month ago. So we're gonna try it, see how it is, how it's aged. And then we've made some, or Melissa has made some apple simple syrup, which we will add to this for flavoring, which will add some cloudiness to this. I know this is a nice clear liquor at the moment.
It's gonna add a little cloudy. What we may do is add that syrup and let it sit in there and then strain it at a later date.
And see how it does.
And see if we can remove some of the, like strain it through a coffee filter at a later date to remove some of the cloudy.
Right, so we're also probably this weekend gonna start a third apple brandy mash, which technically is gonna be the other end of the spectrum from the first one. Our first one was completely made from like mashed apples and water. This one was made from a bunch of apple juice and some apples. The third one we're gonna do with just apple juice, but we're gonna do it slow like an apple wine style and see if it gives a better flavor than this or the other one.
But that's later, so let's get on to the tasting, Chuck.
Right.
To the tasting. This is proof down to about 95.
Well, it's got apple on the nose. It smells good.
It's got a good apple scent.
It's actually got a fairly good apple taste on the front end. It does get a little bitey in the back end though.
That actually has a very nice apple on the front end.
So that's actually good to know that
Damn.
that mix of apple and apple syrup.
All right, here's the question.
If we proof it down with water,
If you proof it down with just a little bit more water, do we keep our apple and lose a little bit of the bite, but not a whole lot of bite?
All right. Well, this is completely by the seat of my pants guesstimation.
Well, we'll do a better guesstimation in a bit. Because this actually has apple flavor in it, as much as it pains me to say, I don't know that I want to put the syrup in it. Damn, that's nice.
Yeah. Now, off the seat of my pants, I would say that probably got proof down to about 60 to 70 proof from where it's at. But it's a nice apple on the front end. There's just enough burn in the middle to let you know it's alcoholic, and it's smooth on the back. Okay. Well, for the other side of that spectrum,
You want to try it with a little syrup? Yeah?
let's try. Okay.
No, now you got to swirl it.
So you still get the initial bite
Ooh.
of the apple flavor from this,
Oh my God, I love that.
but there's almost no burn to it.
There's no
And
burn.
that smooths out the sweet through the center all the way to the end.
There's no burn. It's almost worth clouding this up for.
That is actually good.
And you didn't
Like,
put but a
quite
couple
good.
drops in, did you?
Not a whole lot, no.
All right, guys, this is we're gonna play. I think we're gonna use simple syrup and add to it.
Yeah, that's
That was, like, this with just a little more water was good, but the actual extra apple flavor that this imparts is worth it. And I don't usually, I'm usually the one who wants to go the purist on it and try not to over flavor, but for that,
Oh, go ahead and just.
I don't want to put too much in to start. All right, mix that.
You've got like a gallon worth of alcohol to flavor with that. You're gonna need.
Well, let's start with that then. This is gonna be like a cloudy iced tea now.
It is. Okay, that definitely needs more.
Like a lot?
I'll go again for the same amount. Alcohol is weird. Sometimes it goes from less burny to more burny before it settles down some more. Getting closer.
It's a little bit less than what I gave, so do you want a little more? Or...
Yeah, go ahead. Tell you what, guys, we're just gonna keep slowly adding this stuff until we get to the point where we had it before. So we'll be back in a few. Okay. It took us a few minutes.
Oh, stop.
It took us a few minutes and a couple syringe. This isn't a syringe. A couple turkey basters worth of syrup.
And a little turkey baster of water.
And about 150 mils of water. But we've got it to a nice point where it's apple-y sweet.
With a little bit of bite, but the bite doesn't
The
stay
bite,
very long.
The bite is just on the back end, and it's just enough to give you that little bit of warm chesty feeling, but not burn. So,
Not enough to make you want to hate life.
right. So we are going to keep this as is. Unfortunately, at this point, we cannot use a hydrometer on it because we've added basically apple flavored sugar water to it.
Technically, we started at 95. By now, we're probably at, like you said, about 70.
I would guess, because we went down in such increments, we're probably somewhere in the 70 to 75 proof
Yeah,
range.
70, 75.
But it's nice. So we are going to stick it back in the cabinet and let it sit and mature a little bit. Because like I mentioned, I'm going to do another one, which is going to be a whole nother little video with the just using apple juice method, which I've looked up online. Looks relatively simple. It just takes a little while to run.
And we've got simple syrup left over that we will save if we need it.
Yeah. So, and you know, on the end, if the two results aren't too terribly different, we might just mix them together and get one big batch of brandy out of it.
We're going to have a blended brandy maybe.
Maybe. But we will find out. But this one is actually pretty good. I will call it a success.
Oh, definitely.
And it definitely took a whole lot less apples than it did the other one. I'm just interested to see how this one and the one that's all apple juice differ. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, do the internet stuff. See the buy us a coffee link before in case we need a new hydrometer.
The hydrometer
Is right there.
Okay, I was like, it's right over here.
But here's the same kind of tube. But anyway,
We will see y'all next time.
Bye.